For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection on Patriot TV. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. It's only Tuesday, and it's already getting crazy out there.
It really is, man. Hey, we're still excited. You know, President Trump won, waiting to get him in office. They're doing everything they can to prevent that, or at least make things much worse. Crazy things going on in Capitol Hill right now, all this stuff. We got an awesome show lineup for you guys. As always, like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment if you're watching live. We'll do our best to give you guys a shout out and include you part of the show. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just going to jump right into it because yesterday we mentioned that Biden was trying to start World War III by authorizing Ukraine to fire missiles that we gave them directly into Russia. And, well, overnight they did it. Ex-security advisors accuses Biden of trying to sabotage Trump's effort to end Russia-Ukraine war. And then this morning, about 7 a.m. our time, breaking, Ukraine reportedly carries out first strike inside Russian territory using U.S.-made long-range missiles. And what you guys need to understand is it isn't just that these missiles came from the United States, that we gave them to them, you know, you and I paid for them. It's that in order to fire these GPS-guided ATACMS missiles, well, we have to authorize it. There's a computer lockout system on them. They can't be fired, just like they can't hop into most of our planes and just take off. We have to actually send them a code to even authorize the pilot to take off from a launch pad. So they're coordinating this actively with our military, and Putin knows it. He's not an idiot. If anything, I think he's shown incredible restraint, not responding sooner. And I'm not a pro-Putin person by any stretch of the imagination, but this is the reality. I mean, what else do you say?
If we're going to be, objectively honest here, then we have to admit that this is an attack from the United States government onto Russia. I mean, that there's no other way to explain this. I mean, that's the sad reality. And so they really just upped the potential for World War III in a massive way. I hope that they don't. I hope that, God can continue to give Putin some restraint, knowing that there's a lot at the end of the tunnel with President Trump getting into office. But we're in a very, very serious situation. I don't know if people realize just how serious of a situation this is. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, if this does escalate, I pray that it doesn't. But, now that this has happened, if this escalates into a world war, I hope that Doge or whoever has the capabilities of going through and scraping all the data off of social media to find all these little soy boys who had the Ukrainian flags in their profiles promoting this stuff for the last 2 or 3 years, like the Krasensteins, for instance, the Harry Sissons of the world, and put them on the very first, top of the line of the draft in order to go over here and put their money where their mouth is, since they've been beating these drums for so long. And here we are now, unfortunately, facing, staring at potential World War III.
Yeah, and things are developing quickly. Already this morning, we've had well, I'll just read you the headline. World War III watch. Sweden goes full prepper as 5 million residents get pamphlets on how to stock food and prepare for nuclear war. Putin updates Russia's nuclear doctrine mandates following U.S. long-range missile strikes from Ukraine inside their borders on Tuesday. And he had already stated yesterday that if these missiles were to be used, he would view this as a direct attack from NATO and the United States and may retaliate against other NATO countries or the U.S. Now, hopefully we don't see that happen, but I'm sure Poland and a lot of other neighboring countries in the area right now are scared out of their minds that because of our actions, they may get an attack from Russia. Putin's also made it clear that if things escalated, nuclear weapons are not off the table. And again, it's not going to be an immediate apocalypse. He's not going to immediately be firing ICBMs up to targets all over the globe, but we very well may see tactical or battlefield nukes where they want to just take out an entire swath of territory, make it where Ukraine can't regain it, or even just leveling a city to send a message. It's not outside of the realm of possibility now, unfortunately.
Well, and Mike, you brought up a good example earlier, on this to help people fully understand this from a Russian perspective, if you will. Let's just imagine that Mexico was launching long-range missiles into the not just on the border, but well into the United States of America, hitting Colorado and West Virginia, all these different places, and then we come to find out that these missiles were not only paid for by Russia, but Russia was instructing them and telling them they want them to do this. I feel that as Americans, we would be blaming Russia as much as we would be Mexico under that situation for attacking us. Well, that's exactly what's happening here is, if you are a Russian citizen at this point, you have to be, blaming the United States of America for these attacks on their country. I think another question to ask is, would the illegitimate Biden regime, because that's what they'll always be referred to as for myself, is the illegitimate Biden regime, would they have done this and gave the green light to do this if Harris had won the presidency? Because I really truly feel, I know it had been escalating for a while, but I feel like they're really pushing the foot on the gas with this right now because they're trying to muddy the waters before President Trump takes office. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. I don't think that there's any chance that we would have done this had Harris won the election. We'd all been doomed to that fate already, and things would already be bad enough here. No reason to escalate them that quickly and make it even worse. But also, it would have been a more strategic approach. Had Harris won, they would try to bring other allies into it first, get boots on the ground from some NATO country in Ukraine, and then use that as the jumping off point to escalate things further. But since Trump won, I think they're trying to speed that clock up because they already know it's blatantly obvious. I mean, within 24 to 48 hours of Trump winning the election, he was already on the phone talking with Putin and with Zelensky. Things were already on a path to some kind of an agreement. We don't really know how much. Obviously, a lot of it was probably said behind closed doors, but I've got a feeling that something was laid out that both of them found to be, at the very least, acceptable. It doesn't mean there wouldn't have been further negotiations, but they were on a path to de-escalate and end this conflict there. And as Trump kept stating, he just wanted to stop the killing. That was his goal. And I think this is at least partially done, just to throw a monkey wrench into that. They don't care about human lives. They don't care about how this could escalate. They don't care about the specter of nuclear war. How are we going to respond if they do use battlefield nukes, or God forbid they decide to fire them into Poland or another NATO ally in the area that they've already threatened, or hit Sweden or whoever else? Doesn't matter. Biden's made his intentions very clear. He wants this to escalate to World War III, and hopefully we don't all pay the price here and around the world for it.
Absolutely. A quick shout out to RJ Shaw over in the Rumble chat, and then over in the Twitter chat, we got Cynthia, Spencer, and Brad. Appreciate you guys for tuning in here and hanging out with us on the show. Look, man, even if it's not nukes, even if they just attack some of these smaller NATO countries around them, that's going to be a huge escalation in things. And once again, I mean, this is a NATO attack on Russia. That's exactly what this was. I haven't really had a chance to look into it because, this is all started developing this morning in terms of, everything. I would be interested to know how some of the small NATO countries bordering Russia or right there near Russia feel about Joe Biden escalating these things and almost dragging them into it as well, if you will, because they've all kind of been able to stay out of that and sit back and just watch everything happening all around them, and now this is a huge escalation, and it's really sad that we finally get a peacetime president back into office, and I think that they've learned from their mistakes in 2015 to 2016 timeframe when Trump won the first time. They didn't know what to expect, and so Trump was able to come in and create world peace and negotiate all these deals, all this stuff to create peace, and then has really campaigned on that during the 2024 campaign. And so I think that they know that if they don't get things escalated before January 20th, then that window is now closed and Trump is going to be able to negotiate peace. And I also think that partly they want to escalate this as well so that they can spend the next 4 years, talking about how President Trump lied on the campaign trail, how he said he was going to, structure this deal and broker this deal, and he was unable to get it done. And so then from that point, no matter what President Trump accomplishes as president, they would say that his presidency was a failure because he failed to deliver on that promise. And then of course, they would blame him if this did escalate into further conflict. They're going to say it happened under President Trump's watch, when in reality, we all know better, but they're going to gaslight the American people. And unfortunately, a lot of the American people, at least those on the left, are going to believe it and start blaming him. And all of a sudden, they're going to be wanting to be these peaceful people after they've been beating these war drums for the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, well, there are Democrat lapdogs masquerading as journalists in the mainstream media will repeat the lie ad nauseum until some people believe it. But, this is exactly what we talked about in the lead up to the election, that if Trump won, they would do everything in their power to sabotage things going into his administration. We're already seeing that. We're going to have several stories that we're going to cover about that. But, there's already Democrats out there saying they're going to stop spending, stop making unnecessary purchases to try to sabotage the economy. And these people are insane. They don't care about they really don't care about America or moving the agenda forward. It's not even like they want to make things better. They just care about power. And it's becoming blatantly obvious now. Let's go ahead. I'm going to keep an eye on this story. If we get any other updates as things go on this morning, we'll bring those to you. Because like I said, things are just kicking off right now, and there's a lot going on. But I do want to discuss some other things, too. So Trump says his administration will use the military to conduct deportations. This is fantastic, and the left is just absolutely apoplectic. They can't believe Trump would utilize the military and the National Guard to help free us from this invasion that we've all been forced to live under for the last 4 years.
Absolutely. Well, quick shout out to Eric McCart over here watching on True Social. Appreciate you there as well. Look, I think this is awesome. I think it needs to happen. The public support for mass deportations has really increased even after the election, or at least that's according to polling. I actually believe that it's probably the same amount of support as what there was beforehand. But now they're telling the truth about the polls because now that the election's over with, they don't have any reason to try to lie and suppress the truth surrounding that. So I think that the support has always been there, and they were just trying to trick the American people leading into the election. But look, the support is there for this. And I hope people understand that mass deportations is really just a start. We need to build the wall. We need to have mass deportations. And then we need to have an immigration moratorium in this country for a set period of time so we can restabilize our country and kind of recover from this mass invasion and the deportations that's getting ready to take place.
Yeah, we need to focus on assimilation again and bringing the people that had come in here legally through the last several years and bring them into the fold. We need to make them Americans. And again, that takes time for people to blend into a new culture and a new place and feel that acceptance. But, I am going to disagree a little bit because I do think that I wouldn't be at all surprised if support for mass deportations has increased following the election, because we have had just in the last few weeks stories break where with hundreds of arrests of Trinidad Agua in New York. Now we've had more building takeovers, more crimes in small communities from this illegal alien invasion. The story we keep seeing around here where I live is in northern Cincinnati, a suburb, Laughlin. They brought in 3,000 illegal aliens from North Africa into a town of just 3,500. So I think more and more people are seeing the problem, especially with, potentially there being still a surge at the border before Trump is inaugurated. So, I mean, at least the American people are getting behind it. At least these leftist lies or the sympathy push for, oh, he's going to separate families. That's not working. When Tom Homan's out there being a hardliner, which is exactly why he was brought into this spot, at least I believe, somebody that'll actually get the job done and isn't going to just stop because there's a sympathetic case somebody found somewhere. I think more people are getting behind that as they're seeing the destruction, the damage, and they're starting to realize that it isn't just, it's not just someplace out there being affected by it. It's them too. It's depressing wages, and it's creating huge strains on our education system. It's all the ancillary effects from this invasion are starting to really take their toll in small local communities and big cities alike.
Yeah, when Tom Homan said, families who illegally entered here together can be, deported together, was just awesome. And I was like, yes, this is our guy right here. That's what we want. And then there's just a lot. I think that we also have to give power to Tom Homan to go in here and hold these governors accountable who say that they're going to harbor these illegal aliens who've invaded our country. I think that they need to be held accountable for that. And as far as I'm concerned, Tom Homan and the people under his direction should have the constitutional authority to go into these governors' mansions and drag these governors out of there if they want to illegally knowingly harbor, aid and abet these people who have invaded our country. This is a military takeover of our country at this point. It needs to be held accountable for it. And then, it's funny because a lot of these people have already started self-deportating. I saw where some of the Haitians up there in Springfield, Ohio, there was an article that came out mentioning how they've already started fleeing the area. And I think you're going to see at least a small portion of them self-deportate out of that. And I think that President Trump ought to make some sort of announcement encouraging people to self-deportate. And I think that we should honestly, from a financial standpoint and even a humanitarian standpoint at the same time, we're not evil people because we want these illegals out of our country. I think that we should have a 1 to 2 month window or whatever when President Trump takes office of helping these people deport themselves if they want to do that. So I don't know exactly how you would set that up, but make some sort of announcement. If you want to leave, we'll help you get back to your home country and get them out of here, and then make it known, like, if you can get back in the line and come in here the legal way if you leave on your own. If we catch you and deport you, I can't want to say deportate, deport you out of this country, then you're forever forbidden from coming back into our country, as far as I'm concerned. So I think there's some sort of things that we can do there to help, especially since we're already seeing that trend take place where these people are leaving the country on their own.
Yeah, and that is something we've already seen Tom Homan say in one of these interviews he did with one of the pearl clutchers. I don't remember if it was on CBS, CNN, MSNBC, who it was. But yeah, he said that, what he'd like to see is, well, right off the bat, the criminal illegal aliens that are here that are committing crimes right now, Tren de la Agua, MS-13, others, they're going to be grabbed immediately. Like, that's where he wants to use force, toss them out of the country. But otherwise, what he said he'd like to do is, if you come in and you make it known you want to return home to wherever, that he will buy your plane ticket. He'll make sure you get back home safely, and that gives them, I think he also said, about a 2-month window to get your affairs in order. If you bought things while you're here and you want to ship them back to wherever, or close your bank accounts, take care of whatever business you have to. That way you have time to do it, and then as long as you show up for your flight, you take off, then no harm, no foul. You would be able to get in line and immigrate here legally. However, if you stay past that window, there's going to be consequences, fines, potential jail time, property seizures, and you'd be put onto a list where you wouldn't be able to re-enter the country for a period of time, possibly lifetime, depending on what else is uncovered, as they're now forced to arrest you and deport your whole family that way.
Well, I love hearing all that, but I'll tell you, I don't think fines and all that stuff, no. If you're here past that window, we're going to consider you as a military combatant to the United States of America. You have illegally invaded our country. We do not trust you. You are here, as far as we are concerned, you are here as a military personnel of a foreign invader, and we're going to treat you as such. I mean, whatever means necessary to come in and get you. If we have to kick your door in and go in and grab you by the hair of the head and drag you out kicking and screaming and get you out of here, then that's what we're going to do. I'm tired of playing patty cake politics with these people. I'm sick and tired of trying to play nice in terms of the invasion of our country. It's time to actually, give them an opportunity, which we're doing right now, to get your butt out of this country. And anybody who's staying here, I'm sorry, but you're going to be considered an enemy combatant, and you're going to be treated as such. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, we're going to need a giant chain gang to build this wall. So we might as well use you to help, since you can't follow the rules anyway and you can't pay attention. Speaking of not following the rules and just being a thorn in humanity's side, confirmed, Rhino Mitch McConnell delivers message to President Trump against recess appointments. Well, the cocaine Mitch is on his way out, and luckily Trump is starting to take some steps here to help push these confirmations through. Report, Trump is personally calling Republican senators and urging them to confirm Matt Gaetz as AG. And to all you Republican senators out there, if you guys voted to confirm Merrick Garland and the rest of these mutants in the Biden regime, good old Richard Levine pretending to be Rachel Levine or anybody else up there, I don't want to hear it. If you confirmed these people for Biden that were wildly unqualified, I've heard some of the lamest excuses out of these people in interviews as to why they think some of these nominees are bad. When you look at the fact that they approved people that were less qualified or mentally unstable into the similar roles for Biden. They just don't want justice. They don't want Matt. Matt knows where the bodies are buried, and they don't want to give him that kind of access because it's going to create problems for them creating personal wealth for themselves as they sell us all out to China and the global elites around the world.
The Uniparty is alive and well in D.C. right now, and that's exactly what you're seeing in terms of this opposition to Matt Gaetz becoming Attorney General. It's absolutely ridiculous. To your point, these same people voted for Merrick Garland. They voted for Mrs. Doubtfire to be the head of Health and Human Resources, whatever it was. There, they voted for the bald dude who stole luggage from an airport. They voted for an unqualified Pete Buttigieg to be over top of the secretary just because he was a gay man who's attempting to be a chest feeder. It's absolutely unbelievable what's going on in terms of their hypocrisy in wanting to nominate these sorts of people and then turn around. We're not talking about Democrats. We're talking about Republicans who voted for all these people we just mentioned and then some. And now we're turning around and opposing Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. It does not get any more backstabbing than this. It is not. I mean, this is the ultimate test as far as I'm concerned. And every single one of these senators who refused, I don't care what they do behind closed doors, whatever, because they're all going to claim that they're supporting Matt Gaetz because they know their constituencies going to want that. If they don't come out and publicly endorse and beat the war drums for Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, then they need to be primaried. Sitting there quietly like a little schoolmouse and saying, "Oh, I voted for him but he didn't have the votes." No. Either you step up and start beating the drums for Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, or you need to be primaried. There's no excuse with this. I'm tired of it, and we did not vote those people in. If you look at all these states that just had senator elections with these new Republicans getting elected, not a single U.S. senator candidate in the entire country who was on the ballot this election, not a single one outperformed President Trump in their home state. President Trump outperformed every single one of them. So that tells you that President Trump dragged all of them across the finish line. Not a single one dragged President Trump across the finish line. So like the guy in Pennsylvania, I don't remember his name. He didn't win Pennsylvania and drag so much, and he drugged President Trump across the finish line, and we got to thank him for having a Trump presidency. No. Trump won that. He needs to be thanking President Trump for dragging his butt across the finish line. He needs to fall in line and support these picks that President Trump's appointing to this, because this is, once again, not a mandate from President Trump. This is a mandate from the American people. We have just happened to send President Trump to deliver that message and deliver that mandate to the deep state in D.C.
Bingo. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more garbage from any about these people being unqualified. They're picking on RFK Jr. right now because he's not a doctor. Well, the current head over at Health and Human Services is a lawyer. He's just an AG from a state. He used to sue pharmaceutical companies. He doesn't know, by your definition, he doesn't know anything either, but you approved him. So shut it. Guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors, but we'll be right back with more.
Former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store, a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
The Donor Deck represents a groundbreaking independent crowdfunding initiative driven by patriots like you to bring back our esteemed President Donald J. Trump to office. With unwavering passion, we pledge all profits from the sale to MAGA Inc. and Fight Like a Flynn PAC. The exquisitely detailed challenge coin is a timeless collectible to be passed down to generations. It symbolizes your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. Get your Donor Deck now. Go to the Patriot.tv store and click on Donor Deck. Enjoy the magnificent artwork and scripture on each playing card, knowing our appreciation for your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. You'll get this keepsake collectible challenge coin acknowledging your support for Donald Trump's run back to the White House, and the Donor Deck of 52 exquisite playing cards, plus a beautiful display case to show your challenge coin. Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
Thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support this program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. You can go to patriottv.com and you can click on our show and help support them that way. That way it'll link to us. We'll get some credit back for it, and you can help us stay on the air here. Right now is the perfect time to grab some stocking stuffers, and make sure you grab them for any liberals in your family too. Well, guys, Trump's nominees are really are a result of the mandate he was given. And let's go ahead and go to our next story here from our friend Paul Ingracia over there at Gateway Pundit. President Trump's cabinet picks demonstrate a serious commitment to return power to the American people. And I'll be honest, I think this is the thing that they really fear, is they fear transparency. They fear the fact that Trump does want to open the books and let the secrets that should not be secrets, open those up to the sunshine and expose them to the public. They're not allowed to hide things and call something classified just because they're breaking the law, breaking the rules, or otherwise abusing the trust that the American people have put in them. And I think this cabinet really shows that. It shows that we want to root out the problems in the administrative state and the Department of Justice and expose these people for exactly who they are. And that's what they fear. The uniparty, the left, everyone. Their kingdom's going to come crashing down, their empire of lies they've built up over the last several decades. And they know that Gaetz and many of the others will expose everything that they've done, and then the people are going to be mad, and they are going to want righteous retribution for the wrongs done to them by these sycophants in our government.
Absolutely. Well, quick shout out to Jace Justice over watching on True Social, Melissa Burgess and Caroline over there in the Twitter chat, and then our good friend Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you, Dan. Been watching with us for a long time, and appreciate all you guys. Once again, if you guys are new to the show, leave comments. We love to include you guys as part of the show as much as possible and answering questions, all that good stuff. But look, if you guys, first of all, if you're not following Paul Ingrassi, he does amazing work covering a lot of these different things like this. So big shout out to him. He's been on it for a long time now. But that's exactly what this is. The deep state is so fearful right now of returning the power back to the people. It reminds you of that old meme. It's been going around for a long time of all the people underneath the chessboard. And if all you got to do is stand up. Well, the American people are standing up right now. These people have been in power for so long. They're so corrupt. They know that they're in trouble if anybody actually wants to do something to them legally. And honestly, that's what I'm fearful of between now and Inauguration Day on January 20th is these people are willing and capable for the most part of doing pretty much anything to maintain the power that they have. And when you take a wild animal and push it into a corner, they're going to do some wild animal things, and that's kind of what we've done here. And I'm glad that we have. I'm not backing down in that regard. But people need to keep their head on a swivel. I don't put anything past these people between now and January 20th to try to either prevent Trump from ever taking office to begin with, or collapsing, things, or putting us on a course of action to collapse this country as much as possible before he takes office. All those things are very possible, as they're going to do anything and everything they possibly can to attempt to maintain the power that they have.
Well, yeah, and they can certainly feel themselves losing grasp on the narrative right now, too, which is the other thing that they've really fought to control through their stooges in the media. Yeah. That they're losing effect. I mean, we're going to talk about it more later, but their grasp on reality, their grasp on or on this created reality, on the narrative, is slipping away. People are turning away from the mainstream media in record numbers, and they're not returning. They're going to places like Fox News, like here at Patriot TV, and alternative media sources. They don't trust them. This election proved that their lies no longer work, that the average person isn't buying it anymore. And like you said, Derrick, they're scared. They're like a cornered animal. They're going to lash out, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to maintain that power and try to regain control over the narrative. And if that means sacrificing millions, maybe billions of people, getting us into a nuclear war with Russia, or escalating things in the Middle East, or with China, or wherever else, they don't care. They want to collapse the economy right now. I think that's something else we're going to see happening. Probably really start seeing it unfold the next week or two. The moves they're making there to try to sabotage the Trump presidency. The worst thing that could possibly happen for them is for Trump to be highly successful and turn this country around, get it onto better footing, and to also expose their lies. And they desperately want to stop that any way they can right now, and that makes it dangerous for all of us.
It absolutely does, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And like I said, I don't put anything past these people. You got to remember they've been in. This is generational power that they've had. The people who are alive today in this power don't know what it's like to not have that power. And I'm sure that their parents and everything have told them how important it is for them to maintain all this. They are the shadow government. They are the deep state that we always talk about. These are the people who are going behind the scenes. We probably don't even know most of their names, who are calling a lot of these shots. They're the ones that, we're missing $800 and something billion from the Pentagon right now. They're the ones that probably have most of this money that's being laundered out of these agencies. That's how powerful these people are. And so they're going to do anything and everything they possibly can to try to maintain that power. And that's a scary thing to think about, but it's also a very exciting thing to think about as well, in terms of exposing these corrupt people, putting them in their place, and returning the power back to you and me and we the people where it belongs.
Well, I got some more breaking news for you guys right now. So from the Gateway Pundit, breaking: Judge Juan Merchan adjourns President Trump's November 26th sentencing date. So I guess they're backing off of that now. Well, that's interesting, but I still think this is also part of the game. They want to dismiss it so they can go around and say for years, rather than Trump appealing it and beating the charges, they want to be able to say, oh, well, the only reason Trump wasn't sentenced or convicted, because technically he's not actually convicted till the sentencing date, which again is just media wanting to spin the narrative that he's already a convicted felon. It is just so that they'll be able to hang that over his head like a dark cloud for the rest of his life, and have that little asterisk in the footnotes of history. Let's go ahead and pull our next story here real quick, because we'll have to do a little more follow-up there. It's over. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro calls on Democrats to stop trying to steal the Senate race. And it's blatantly obvious that I still want to see the people on this board arrested for going forward and saying, directly stating they were defying the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania's order not to count these ballots. The 2 of the 3 on that board need to go to jail. I know the one gentleman said he didn't want to participate, blah, 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 voted against it. So fine, you're good. The other 2, they need to be arrested, interrogated, and imprisoned for violating the law and trying to overturn the will of the people.
Absolutely. There needs to be accountability for these people. They knowingly were attempting to count illegal votes. Well, they did count illegal ballots. I mean, they actually did. They just were not able to count enough of them, but they knowingly did that. They knowingly defied the Supreme Court orders there in the state. They defied federal law. They went above and beyond in the public. They were so brazen to do this out in public in front of everyone, because quite frankly, these people don't think they're going to be held accountable. There needs to be some accountability here. They need to be treated exactly the same way that the January 6th political prisoners were treated in terms of protesting the theft of the 2020 election, because they're out here attempting to steal the 2024 election. I think Shapiro is actually coming out and saying this because he's got plans to try to run for president in 2028, and he wants to be, more seen more as that moderate Democrat as opposed to the left-wing fringe. But unfortunately, for him anyways, I don't think that that's going to matter. I don't think that a moderate can get through a Democrat primary at this point. I think that only a left-wing moonbat would be able to get through a Democrat primary at this point. And so we'll see what happens. But I agree with you. There needs to be some accountability on this.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And to give him proper credit for this, too, he did also state that all the illegal votes that they had been counting, that those would be excluded from the totals. And again, he sided with their Supreme Court also made a statement more or less to that effect. But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't think Shapiro could get through a primary. And if anything, Democrat voters will now see this as a betrayal, that they don't really care what the law is or anything else. They just care, they only care about winning. They care about maintaining power. They don't really have concerns about anything else. But, I got another great story here from our friend Paul and Gracia. Donald Trump has a mandate to implement nationwide election integrity laws. And I think this really illustrates that. Why is it we keep having these swing states, and looking at you, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and to a lesser extent Nevada? Why does it take you guys a week to count votes now? What's the problem? Is there brain damage? Do we need to simplify things? Do we need to go back to kindergarten? To me, it seems simple. We could always do this on time, until 2020. That's when we started really having problems. I'll exclude Florida in 2000 because that was a limited issue to just a couple counties, and it's just because of the way all the circumstances came together that we didn't have an election outcome until the Supreme Court got involved. But otherwise, for 200 years, over 200 years, we've been able to determine who the winner was on election night pretty much everywhere. That doesn't mean there wasn't a county here or there that had a dispute, but by and large, we were able to figure out who our next president would be, by the time all of us were going to bed. It isn't until 2020 this changed. So we need to get to the bottom of what's going on there. We need to clean out these illegal machines which are connected to the internet, which again, according to CISA, is illegal. We need to go through the voter list, the voter rolls in every state, clean off all the dead people, all the duplicates, all the people that have moved out of state. We need to get back to where we have free and fair elections that the people trust. And I think President Trump has a mandate to start putting those policies in place. At the very least, form a committee and start forcing states into compliance.
I would agree 100%. We have that mandate for sure. And look, once again, this is not a conservative issue. The media made this a conservative issue following the 2020 election. People were forgetting that Al Gore was the original election denier. Then it was Stacey Abrams and Hillary Clinton. They were the next round of election deniers. And then, they blamed all of us and said it was a conservative issue. And now here in 2024, you have all kinds of people on the left who are not only now questioning the 2020 election after seeing that there's, 15 million less votes or whatever it is this election compared to 2020, but also questioning some of the results in the 2024 election. So there's a major issue here right now. I tell people all the time when I travel and speak at events, especially when I meet people from the left, I tell them, like, hey, you can disagree and say that the 2020 election was not stolen. That's fine. I'm not here to argue with you about that. I mean, the facts are there. If you want to look at it, you can. If not, that's fine too. But what they can't argue is, at the very least, the trust in the process was stolen from the American people. And that goes for both sides right now. There's no faith in the process. And we've got to restore that faith in the process to where, when on election night, we know when that the votes are going to come in. We know we're going to have a winner that night. It's going to be declared. And we can all, move forward and say, okay, my person didn't win, but I know that it was a secure election. I know that, just the majority of people disagree with me. And then I can spend the next 4 years talking about the idiots who disagreed with me. That's what both sides do, right? But we can at least move forward and know that it was a fair election. And of course, you're going to have some instances in some of these races, and these should be, the exception, not the rule, of these rare instances where there is a super close race and they have to do a recount because it's hundreds of votes out of, that's different. But another thing that needs to happen, in my opinion, because we now have went to election season instead of election day, which I disagree with. But if we're going to have that, the mail-in ballots that people are having, regardless of their excuse for having, I don't care if it's because, they're traveling or they're sick or whatever, they should have to be in by election day. No more of this, election ballots coming in a week after the election, but they were postmarked on election day. No. You've had 2 months of early voting. You've had 2 months of having that ballot in your hand. If you did not submit it in time to get it in by election day, then I'm sorry, your vote doesn't count. That's the way it needs to be as well if we're going to have this election season.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I think I told this story before, but I had to get a mail-in ballot in 2004. I mailed it in probably, like you said, 45, 50 days before the election. And as soon as I got it in the mail, I filled it out and I dropped it off the post office within a day or two. But guys, we do have to take one more break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with even more.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
You know, if I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's filling up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Guys, thank you for staying with us. And if for some reason you are still banking with one of these big monster mega banks that hate you and are more aligned with the WEF than they are with American values, now is the time to make a change. Go to patriot.tv. On there, you'll be able to find a link to go to make the changes that you need that are necessary to preserve our way of life and to send a message that this type of action is no longer going to be tolerated. Well, guys, I got one story. It's a little lighter, then we'll go back to the serious stuff. But Dr. Deborah Birx backs RFK Jr. for HHS Secretary, hopes for transparency. And there is a lot of people on the left that are outraged about this. They see this as a giant slap in the face to Dr. Fauci, and they think Birx is trying to send a message that she thinks RFK Jr. might find something there, something very damning that Fauci doesn't want to come out.
You know, it's weird, though, because I remember in the 90s, a lot of these people on the left in Hollywood and stuff, like Jim Carrey, for instance, they were some of the first people to come out on national TV and speak out against vaccines. And then all of a sudden, they I guess, I don't know, they got a talking to, and they all fall in line and they start beating this drum for Big Pharma all of a sudden. So it's like, it's just amazing to see these same people who used to speak out against these things are the same circles who are now opposed to a lot of this. And I think this is a great thing that she's come out and done this as well. I think it maybe brings some of those people who are Democrats or left leaning at the very least, but this is an important issue to them, who've been afraid to speak out and show support for RFK on this, at least in that appointment. And maybe they'll have the courage to come out and do so now, because there's a lot of people, I believe, who probably don't like Trump, probably didn't vote for President Trump because maybe they didn't believe that he was actually going to fulfill his promises. But I think a lot of them support RFK, support health freedom, and are on board with this and want to see some serious changes be made. So I'll be honest with you, I think that RFK is probably the most unifying appointment that Trump has made. I'm a huge Matt Gaetz fan, by the way. I mean, so I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about unifying in terms of people on the left and the right bringing together to support that. So the fact that the media would attack RFK and his appointment is really just further proof that it doesn't matter who Trump appoints to anything. They're going to have issue with it no matter what, and they're going to attack that appointment regardless. So might as well just put some real patriots in there like Matt Gaetz and take the attacks that's going to come with it, because they're going to attack us no matter what.
Well, the fact that they all put, protecting the narrative, protecting the lie above the health and safety of the American people, again, it shows you who they really are. They don't think in reality that this guy's going to do anything that harms the healthy American people. All these changes are positive. They're all things that people on their side have advocated for years. Getting the chemicals out of our food, and even just having accountability and actually like looking into deaths caused by the vaccines and other problems within our medical system, this alignment that they have with big pharma. These are, like you said, these are all issues that used to be important to the left. But somebody sent a message out to them. I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to these allegations about the Diddy parties and the Epstein tapes being used as leverage over everybody. But whatever it is, they certainly don't want the truth coming out now. Guys, I lied. Actually, I got another good story coming up that's kind of funny too. Leftists leave X for Blue Sky, only to overwhelm the site with mass censorship demands. Blue Sky gave notice recently that in only 24 hours, the site was inundated with over 42,000 reports and censorship requests. I mean, this is absolutely hilarious. Another thing that's gone on in Blue Sky is I guess they have an election denialism policy, and a lot of these moonbats that are questioning 2024 are also getting thrown off Blue Sky because they're not allowed to question elections over there.
It's even funnier that when I first saw the story, I thought a bunch of conservatives that went over there and just started mass reporting on it, but that's not the case. It's leftists reporting leftists over these things. So like you said, people are complaining, leftists are complaining and saying that the 2024 election was stolen in some ways. They're blaming Elon Musk and many others, and they're getting reported for that and getting kicked off the side. It's absolutely hilarious. And another thing, and I'll try to find some of those. Maybe we can showcase them on a show later in the week if we get time. But there's videos and stuff of people over there on Blue Sky who are like chugging seed oils. But in terms of they're taking vegetable oil and just drinking straight vegetable oil as a way to protest what is going on right here. It's absolutely unbelievable what they're doing. And back to the RFK thing really quick. I found it fascinating that so many of these people are coming out and protesting clean food. Like they're not even hating on RFK. They're saying this is ridiculous that we shouldn't be done. I'm like, you guys are the most big government people there are, the most regulatory people there are. And now here you are advocating and saying, no, you're allowed to poison us. That's how brainwashed these people really are, that they're out here advocating for things that they know are poisoning them in their food, but they're still advocating for it because Trump says that he doesn't want them to be poisoned. I mean, it really is fascinating. So if Trump came out and said cancer's bad, a lot of these people would be like, no, cancer's a good thing. We need to stop the research on it right now. We love cancer. That's really what they're doing right now in terms of Trump saying, well, I want clean food because he's putting RFK in charge of that. And RFK says, I'm going to get the toxins and the poisons out of your food. And the left is protesting that. And I'm like, man, that's a weird flex right now, is you're basically saying you want to poison your children because of your hatred of President Trump. Like, that is truly next level.
Yeah, I have seen multiple videos now of these moonbats researching how to refluoridate their water. I guess nobody told them you can buy fluoridated water at the grocery store. They sell it for babies for some strange reason. Considering that fluoride's for supposed to help your teeth, and infants aren't born with teeth, but whatever. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But one other piece of good news, and we've touched on this a couple days ago, but now we've got some numbers. Truth matters. MSNBC audience drops by 54%. CNN audience drops by 34% since election. Well, the Gateway Pundits audience is up 20% since election day at 3.4 million page visits per day. And, good for them. I know that they've seen a massive pickup on other networks. Fox News had an uptick in viewers. Like I said earlier, we've seen an uptick here at Patriot TV, that people don't trust the mainstream media. I really think this election broke the narrative and broke their hold on the country in more ways than they know so far. Because now that you have the normies looking at alternative sources, because it became very apparent that Trump was not Hitler. This is not a fascist takeover. We did not just vote to end democracy, even though that would have been a good idea as far as I'm concerned. That reality is setting in, and people don't like being lied to. They also don't forgive. When you lose somebody's trust, it's really hard to regain it. If you did something intentional and it wasn't a lie because you didn't know the facts, or a misspeak, then it takes real effort to gain somebody's trust back, and we're not seeing that from our mainstream media. There's basically zero effort to correct how they've done things, and I think this is only going to get even worse for them with time.
Yeah, and I think even the low viewership that they have at CNN, especially, and MSNBC, are inflated because every single airport, every single like gym, all these places have those networks on 24/7, which is boosting the viewership. But it's really nobody's watching it; they're just walking by, and it just happens to be on the TV. So it's even less. I actually saw something. I think it was Tim Pool. I could be wrong. Had tweeted and shared that the most recent or whatever report that came out showed that Morning Joe was getting around 25,000 viewers per episode. To put that in perspective, we're crushing Morning Joe right here with our own show right here on Patriot TV. This show that you guys are watching right now is getting more views than Morning Joe. And to be honest with you, I smiled from ear to ear when I saw that. It's awesome seeing the people basically unplugged from the matrix, if you will. That's what we're seeing right now. The Great Awakening is taking place. And once again, I really believe that, number one, it was COVID that started a lot of this. But number two, I think that the nail in the coffin was the 2024 election, when the mainstream media continued to attempt to gaslight the American people and tell them that the economy was doing great and was flourishing under Joe Biden. And the people, like, they know better. There was no way to actually lie and convince. I mean, there's a few, but I mean, the masses, even on the left, were not going to buy that lie. And so people then started questioning, if they're lying to me about this, maybe they really are fake news. These seeds have been planted a long time ago, and it's almost like it came full circle during this election cycle. And I think that people started waking up to it, and we're seeing the results of that right now.
Well, yeah, we're seeing that it's confirmation that they've always been fake news. And the other thing that I think was really scaring them is a big part of this shift is what they call the key demo. It's the people that are younger, that are still out there buying products, that are having families, unless you're on the left. It's that target audience. That's been the biggest shift. There wasn't a giant change for like CNN and their viewers over 70, stuff like that. Honestly, who cares? It's the younger audience. That's a huge shift, because in the long run, that also tells them that politically their movement has taken a massive hit, because these people have left them and have probably left them permanently. And I expect those changes to increase. And here's the thing, like, even this brain dead fool understands what's going on. Pace yourselves. Fetterman tells Dems to chill because Trump hasn't even been inaugurated yet. When he's watching what's going on, his interview with Rogan was interesting because he did admit a number of things, told a number of truths. I think the Democrats would like to keep quiet and to themselves. And Fetterman, for as much crap as I give him, I will say this. I think, he does at least try to be honest. He does tote the party line here and there. But I do think he's not afraid to criticize them. This became very apparent with Israel and everything that went on there. He immediately put his foot down, said this is anti-Semitism. It's unacceptable what's going on in college campuses. And that really annoyed AOC and a lot of other people on the left. But Fetterman has his values, and I can at least respect that.
Dude, it is so weird. So Fetterman is the only person I've ever known who had a stroke and got better.
Yeah.
Again, I'm being for real. Like, I'm not even, I know it's funny to say, but he had a stroke and got better. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, here's another story related to Fetterman. I don't know that I actually agree with this, but flipping Fetterman. Pennsylvania Senator's logical positions make him an opportune candidate to join the Republican Party. I don't know that I buy that, because he still has a lot of far out there insane lefty ideas. But I do think on certain things, this guy's kind of like that old school Democrat we talk about a lot. The people like during the Reagan years that when it came time to unify, when it was time to go rescue these college students in Grenada, or when it was time to strike back at Libya after Pan Am 103, suddenly they stopped fighting. They unified with President Reagan and said, this is the right move for the country to make right now. We'll put our differences aside. We're going to back things until America's back on better footing, or until the hostages come home, or whatever. He's kind of like, he reminds me of a throwback to that. Somebody that doesn't hate America and want to destroy it, that we may disagree on issues. I might think he's insane for some of his beliefs, but at least I can say, he's not somebody that's trying to, suicide bomb our country.
We don't win by watering down the Republican Party. He would be what we call a rhino, and that's okay. I wish all the other rhinos in Senate and House would switch to Democrat. All these Republicans, like, we don't need Fetterman to switch to Republican. We need all these Republicans who are opposing Matt Gaetz to switch to Democrat. That's what we need to happen. That's the way. That way they're on the record, and then it'd be easier to beat them in upcoming primaries. So I think the people who are pushing that have it in reverse. Fetterman coming to the Republican Party is not a win for us. Getting these rhinos who are opposing Matt Gaetz for Attorney General to switch to Democrat, that is the way that we actually move this party forward, because at the end of the day, they are Democrats. Instead of calling them rhinos, we need to start calling these people what they are, which is undocumented Democrats.
Yeah, that's perfect. And yeah. When somebody has a real conversion like a Tulsi Gabbard or to a lesser extent RFK Jr., I think that's different. There's also a path they went there. They were always outspoken. You know, if Manchin or, you know, to a lesser extent Sinema had said something like this years ago, I would have believed it, because the party definitely left them. Now, I still think they'd be weak Republicans, but it would at least make more sense. All right, we just got a couple stories, so I want to fly through these real quick as we can. Priceless. DNC fires loyal staffers with 1 day's notice, no severance. Staff union erupts in outrage.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, let me grab let's go one more story here. Some other good news. Trump dance goes global. Freedom dance is spreading across the planet as athletes, celebrities, politicians, and social media users are showing off their moves. And we saw this yesterday over in the UK with a golfer, blanking on his name. We saw it with down in Argentina with Javier Milei yesterday as well, and many, many others. This is spreading like wildfire. The media is going crazy, and they just can't stand it.
We're winning the culture war, man. I mean, that's exactly what this comes down to, is we're winning that. And, you know, back to the other thing is, you know, it is sad that people lose their jobs like that on 1 day's notice. But, you know, it couldn't happen to a better group of people. And the DNC, who has, you know, said that they're the ones, you know, in bed with these unions, and the unions take all these dues and turn around and give it to the Democrats no matter what, such as, you know, the pop fitters union in 2020, when Biden says he's going to shut down the Keystone Pipeline, took that money and endorsed Biden over President Trump. So these are the sorts of things that's been going on. And I love seeing that this happened, because they're getting what they deserve at the end of the day for just being these loyalist people to the Democrat Party.
Yeah, you know, Harris promised her staffers that regardless of the outcome of the election, they'd be paid through the end of the year. And then immediately breaking that promise after just a couple of weeks without notice. I mean, this probably puts a lot of them in bad positions for, you know, Christmas coming up, things like that. They counted on that paycheck. The fact that, again, it was just another lie the Democrats told them. You know, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them, because they probably should have seen it coming. They lie about everything else. Why wouldn't they lie about this too? All right, guys, I want to once again encourage you to go out there, go to Amazon right now and pre-order Hannah Faulkner's new book. It's coming out January 2nd, I think. Sorry, guys, don't quote me on that. Yeah, it is January 2nd. You can get it sent to your house. It's called Last Chance to Save Our Republic. Hannah Faulkner's been a frequent guest on our program here. She's a great person, young patriot, just 17 years old. She's really throwing her hat in the ring in a big way to help save our nation. And we need to go out there and support people like that are putting it on the line, willing to step up and voice their opinion, and somebody especially that's younger, where there's going to be a lot of pushback. So please, guys, go to Amazon. Let's push this book up the rankings. Let's get her to #1 in pre-sales.
Absolutely. And just so you guys are aware, we don't get anything out of this. We're not promoting it because we're getting some sort of kickback. We just think that she's an awesome patriot, and we want to help support her and promote her, because we need to get more young voices involved in the conservative movement. And she's a good one. So we want to help support her and prop her up.
Absolutely. And you can stay tuned here on Patriot TV and watch her show, the Hannah Faulkner Show, coming up next immediately. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back again tomorrow here on Patriot TV at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central with even more. Thanks again, guys.